Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm the house hacker. Today I want to talk to you about why today is the best day to start your business. I want to start off by talking about specifically the reasons that I have for why today is the best day to at least get started thinking about which business you'd like to start. Then I want to talk about how to shift your perception to identify great ideas that you can attempt to start a business off of. And then finally, how to filter through those ideas and filter out all the bad ones so you're not wasting a huge amount of time and effort and resources on bad ideas. So let's start by talking about how 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. I know. Starting it off with some doom and gloom. But instead, think of it as a cautionary warning that going into any sort of business endeavor with a half-baked plan and not thinking things through will cause you to fail. In fact, if you look at the list of reasons of why businesses failed, you're going to find that a lot of them root right back into research. Either not doing research, failing to do good research, or failing to follow the information returned to you by the research. So going ahead and doing something that's opposite of what the research is telling you to do. Also, as Elon said, when he was asked what words of encouragement does he have for people that want to start a new business.
It's very difficult to start companies and quite painful. I think that's important to bear in mind. I don't know if that's probably not encouraging, but if you need inspiring words, don't do it.
And he's right. If you're not already fully committed in your mind and your time to the business, then no words of encouragement are going to get you there. So let's dive right in to this topic. The first reason of why today is the best day is probably the simplest. It's better today than tomorrow because tomorrow will never come. You have today, so continue focusing on today. Tomorrow will always continue to be tomorrow, and kicking things down the road, you'll never get around to them. So stop procrastinating and at least begin the planning process. And every step of the way, you're gonna hear me mention something about research. Research is very important, and it's gonna be something that you're gonna need to do every step of the way. The second reason why you should start your business today is market strife, which is currently what we're going through right now. There's a lot of turbulence in the market, a lot of uncertainty. People are concerned. Those are the times to strike. And here's why. Demand doesn't normally disappear, right? Everything runs on supply and demand, and demand doesn't normally just disappear. It evolves and changes. And as time progresses, it morphs and transforms into something new. If we look at what happened to Kmart, as the market changed, Walmart changed with it, Target changed with it. Kmart chose to remain fixated on the way that they did things in the past, and this made them rigid, and eventually the market spoke. The demand no longer wanted the supply provided to it by Kmart, and so Kmart eventually went bankrupt and got bought out. But Walmart and Target grew into that space. You know, I remember in the town that I grew up, we had a Kmart and we had a Walmart. Kmart went out of business. Target opened up soon after. Now, if you look at that, what that's telling you is the demand didn't disappear. It was always there. It just shifted. It shifted to the supply that best met the demand. And so when you're thinking about, what business idea you should approach, think of it as what demand are you filling, right? And we'll get more into that, but just market strife opens up all of that because it changes, and old companies are hesitant to change. They have a system that works and they don't want to switch, but you got to remember, the market demand changes, and it's going to change with or without you. The next reason is loans are at an all-time low interest rate. So if you need a bunch of money to finance your business endeavor, now is the time to get the money. I mean, you're going to get interest rates right now that are lower than inflation. So that's like almost getting like free money. Now, I'd like to caveat that part with a word of warning. Whenever you're starting a new business, your goal should be to minimize upfront costs as much as possible, because that's how you manage your risk. every business endeavor is a high risk endeavor. You're taking a huge amount of risk, and anything you can do to minimize that risk up front, super important. And for you to tackle it that way is the best thing you can do. If you're going to start, a business, if you can leverage an extra room in your house instead of buying office space, you're better off. So if you need to take out, a loan to fund the business, now is a good time to do it. But ideally, you want to minimize that as much as possible. Even though now is the best time, you'll still be minimizing it as much as possible. You don't want your business to flop after 2 years and then for you to be stuck with $50,000 in debt. Now you're not even at square one anymore, you're at like square -5. So don't put yourself in that situation. Now let's adjust to how you should shift your perception so you can find and discover these interesting new business ideas. Change how you look at the world. So when you go to work, you're thinking about, how do I get my job done? Instead, think about, how do they make money? How do they become profitable? How does each different part of the business contribute to the money-making process? When you start looking at things from that perspective, you'll start discovering things that you missed in the past. Before I started a YouTube channel, there was so much that I just didn't even notice about YouTube videos. And then after starting it, now there are things that I was not receptive of, not even noticing in the videos that I just took for granted, that after being on the end that's making the videos, I realized, I began noticing little things that I was just shocked by the effort put into those little things that, might have passed through the screen in 5 seconds that nobody really paid much mind to. But that took a lot of effort and added just a little bit of value to the video to make it a better video. So change your perspective to identify these better ideas, and then you can begin discovering those new ideas. Another thing you could do to discover new ideas is have a partner, whether this is a friend or a family member that you can talk to. There is a company, which the name is, slipping my mind right now. I'll probably write down the name on the screen later. But when we're talking about companies that innovate new and creative ideas, this company is almost always used as an example. And whenever a company needs to have a creative solution and a prototype to be created, they tend to go to this company because they do such a good job. And the way this company works is they have this very horizontal structure. It's not vertical like a lot of companies where you have managers and everybody. You have a team of individuals, each contributing to the success of the entire team. The manager isn't in charge of anybody. Their job is to manage how the problems are tasked. They're not running around being like, I'm the boss here. They're more approaching things from how can I support the team? The team's having this issue. How can I lift this blocker that's limiting the team? And what this team often does, they'll sit in a room and they'll discuss ideas and they'll build on each other's ideas. This is your recipe for success. Because sure, you have good ideas. We all have good ideas. But being able to build on each other's ideas is how you refine and develop these ideas into much better ideas. After you identify your $1 million idea, before you write up your business plan, vet the idea. Don't waste time on an unproven idea. Do research. Is there a market demand? How does someone determine, is there a market demand on a business that hasn't even materialized? That's tough. This is the part where you need to do research. And research isn't just sitting online on the internet and just reading things. This is going out and talking to people. Go and ask a whole bunch of people. Would you need something like this? If you would, what is it that you're looking for? Does this meet your demand, or would you still prefer to use the product that's currently in place right now? Because your product doesn't just need to be as good as the established product. It needs to do something the established product doesn't do. It needs to be better in some way. Otherwise, it's just going to be a knockoff brand. And those don't become $1 million ideas. You want to show how your idea brings value that the other idea does not. You need to fill a gap that the other idea is missing. Another thing you want to look at is market saturation. Okay, what if you're entering a market where there's already a whole bunch of companies that are in it? You know, like online retail space, that's already filled up with like Amazon and Walmart. I mean, if you want to start another Walmart, I mean, that market is really saturated right now. It would be pretty challenging. It doesn't mean don't pursue your idea, it just means now you need to make sure you have a really good business plan to approach this idea with. You need to be cautious of all of these concerns up front so that when you're building your business plan, you're calculating the risk into the plan. Your next step in the vetting process is, what skills does this idea take in order for it to be successfully implemented? And of those skills, what skills do you have? And this right here is going to be huge when it comes to lowering your risk. Because if you can maximize how many of those skills that you can fill yourself, it would cause you to be less reliant on other individuals. And I'm telling you right now, relying on other people is one of the worst things you can do when starting up a new business. Sometimes it's a necessary evil, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. I can't tell you the number of business ideas that I've tried to pursue that were good ideas, that I ran them through these processes, but I got to the point of trying to get the skills to accomplish the task, and I needed to rely on other people. And every time I relied on other people, it just didn't materialize. After you identify the skills that it needs, and then you identify the skills that you have, you now have a list of all the skills that you don't have. Your next step is use your current job to learn more about the skills that you don't have. Try and educate yourself on these things. And this is looping right back into the research thing. This is the part where you're reading up on these skills and seeing how can you do this yourself. And if you can't find a partner to help you, well, as long as you're able to kind of learn the things that you don't know, then you'll be able to manage without a partner. Finally, after you do all of this, this is where you start building your business plan. You start having your plan of attack, your approach for success, and then finally, after that, you implement that plan. And that's how you start a business, and how I recommend you start one as soon as possible, because that's how you achieve financial independence and you liberate yourself from being dependent on a paycheck, dependent on a company paying you money. So thanks for watching. Comment down below on whether or not you've attempted to start your own business and how that went for you. I had a lot of bad luck myself, as I mentioned in the video, so I'm interested to know about your story. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe and share it and help me grow the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.